Hey guys, it's Matthew here for another video. And this time I will be reading a story all about dragons. In this video, I'm going to be reading Matthew's Dragon. So when I was a kid, I decided to read a story. And I will be reading it along with you guys for this book. So this is from Susan Cooper and it's illustrated by Jose A. Smith. And it's all about dragons. So we're going to be reading a whole book to you guys and along with us, and I will be turning the pages, and if you're interested in reading this book. So yeah, we're gonna be checking out Matthew's Dragon. So on the back, you got instructions of this one. You got the whole story. So I'm gonna read it before we open the page. It says Matthew's Dragon. Matthew can't believe his eyes. Coming from the pages of his favorite book is a mysterious green glow. Suddenly, a tiny green dragon appears, and with the touch of his magic golden claw, Matthew is as small as he is. Off they go, battling the monstrous cat next door and munching on giant tomatoes, and as dawn approaches, Matthew takes flight on the wings of his new best friend. Flying high above the clouds with hundreds of other beautiful dragons, it's an adventure he never forget. Susan Cooper is the author of The Second Kitty Girl and The Silver Cow, both available as Aladdin paperbacks, and The Dog is Rising Sequence, available in color paperback. She was born in England, but now lives in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Jose Smith is a noted artist and sculptor who teaches at Pratt Illustrate. He lives in New York City. Okay, so that's the back. And now the main attraction, we're going to be reading the whole book, and I will be getting you started. So let's go right along, and we already know the drill. Here it is. Don't mind the last name. As you can see, this is what the dragon is. So here it is. This is all. Look at this. This is a really long dragon. He's got a long tail. Wow. Get a closer look at this dragon. Pretty cool. Here it is. That's me. It looks like I was a kid, but not anymore. I'm a grown man now. Anyway, here we go. Matthew's mother was sitting on his bed, reading him a bedtime story. She had just turned the last page. And so the dragon flew back to his castle and pulled up the drawbridge and went to sleep, she read. She held up the picture of the sleeping dragon to show Matthew and closed the book. Just one more, said Matthew hopefully. All his favorite stories were about dragons. His mother said firmly, tomorrow. She put the book on the bedside table and tucked him in. Good night, Matt. Sleep tight. Matthew sighed. Night. He snugged down as his mother kissed the top of his head and turned out the lamp. The door closed behind her. In the dark room, Matthew shut his eyes and then he opened them again. He gasped. Okay, yeah. Okay. Alright. The cover of the book on the bedside table was moving gently up and down, and a green light was shining out the pages. Very cautiously, Matthew reached out his hand under the blankets, and with one finger he pushed up the cover. As the book opened, the green light flooded into the room, and from the picture on the last page, the dragon sat up and grinned at him. I didn't go to sleep, the dragon said, in a surprisingly deep voice. He was a small but extremely beautiful dragon. Matthew recognized him instantly. His skin was bright green, the scales on his back and tail were golden, and his eyes shone red as rubies. I don't want to go to sleep, the dragon said. Do you? Matthew stared at him. No, he said hastily. Oh no, I don't. Not at all. Come on then, the dragon said. He reached out one shiny golden claw. Matthew pushed back on the blankets and suddenly he was as small as the dragon. Standing beside him on a sloping white floor that was the page on the book. There, he took the outstretched golden claw and the dragon swung him up so that he was sitting on his back between the handsome gold-crested head and the curving green wings. Hold tight, said the dragon. Then he took off from the bedside table and glided to the windsill, where Matthew's mother always left the window open a few inches to let in fresh air. Outside the window, Matthew could see a silvery curved bridge stretching into the night. It arched through the air and down to the ground, glinting into the moonlight. It was your drawbridge, he said. Get off my back, or you'll bang your head, said the dragon. Together they slipped out under the window and onto the shiny bridge and ran down, down, down into the garden. When Matthew looked back, the bridge had disappeared. All he could see was the big full moon high in the sky, above the dark shape of the maple tree that grew out of the lawn and around him. A marvelous blaze of grass wider than his hand and higher than his head. Not that was a very small person. It was not so easy to walk across the lawn. Come on, said the dragon. He pushed boldly through the forest of grass, and Matthew fought his way after him. Dragon, where are you going? For a little bedtime snack? The dragon said happily. The grass ended, and they were facing a huge empty expanse of gray rocks, each one as big as Matthew's head. Matthew stared. It was the gravel path leading to his father's greenhouse. He started out across it, but he heard that the dragon gave a sudden, loud shriek. A strange, rusty sound like the hoot of a train, and the dragon wing knocked him sprawling back into the grass as a great black shape hurled it over their heads. Quick! The dragon pulled him to his feet and they ran, stumbling over the gray rocks. Quick, quick! Matthew tried to look over his shoulder, but the dragon pulled him sideways through a thin black gap between two towering white walls. The black cat chasing them, as big as a horse, crashed into the door of the greenhouse and snarled with rage. Matthew and the dragon were safe inside the greenhouse. The door was open just a crack, just enough for them, not enough for the cat. The dragon said cheerfully, he thought we were his bedtime snack. Well, we're not. That's the cat next door, Matthew said. He's mean. I saw him catch a bird once and played with them with like a tennis ball, and then he killed it. Come on, the dragon said. He took hold of a strand of ivory dangling from the greenhouse shelf and began to climb up it. Matthew struggled up after him, and when he got to the top, he found the dragon perched stealthily on the edge of a large flower pot. The pot held one of Matthew's father's dwarf tomato plants, his pride and joy. He had grown 6 of them, all standing in a row, and all covered with delicious little cherry tomatoes. Snack time, said the dragon. He reached up a claw and picked a bright red cherry tomato, which to Matthew now seemed the size of a large grapefruit. Excellent, said the dragon with the mouth full of vitamin C, good for the wings. Matthew had no wings, but he ate a tomato, just to be friendly. The dragon ate 6. Then he sat contentedly and bubbed. Any sign of the cat, he said. Matthew peered out of the moonlight garden. It was much larger than usual, but empty. Nothing moved. All clear, he said. They climbed to the ground again and slipped cautiously out through the greenhouse door. Matthew breathed the cool night air. He smiled honeysuckle. But although Matthew couldn't see it, the cat was still there, fat and greedy, night-fold and sly. It looked on the edge of the greenhouse roof, watching, waiting. It saw their moving figures. The dragon looked prickly, it decided, but that other one looked smooth and tasty. A very nice mouthful like a large mouse. It leaped. Matthew shouted in terror as the driving back shape knocked him to the ground. Trapping him under one fierce paw, he was caught. He couldn't move. He stared up horrified into the gleaming yellow eyes, the grinning mouth full of pointed white teeth. The cat crouched, triumphant, gloating. First, it would play with this creature like a tennis ball, and then knocked and over and by the cat's jump. The dragon turned a final somersault and landed on his feet. He stood still, watching the cat. His eyes began to glow red as cherry tomatoes, and he took a deep, deep breath and he began to grow. He grew and he grew, as big as the cat, as big as the greenhouse, as big as the house. He towered over the garden, his great shape darkened the sky, blotted out the moon. He was so huge that neither Matthew nor the cat knew that he was there, lying terrified between the cat's paws. Matthew knew only that a great golden claw came down out of the sky, hooked itself into the belt of his pajama pants, and lifted him upward. The cat arched his spine, hissing. The dragon swung Matthew up onto his back to sit on a scaly neck between the handsome gold-crest head and the carving green wings. Then he reached his golden claw down again and picked up the cat. He swung it to and fro, slowly, 20 feet in the air. The cat yelled, terrified. The dragon went on swinging, and the yelling became a shriek. Light streamed across the dark lawn as Matthew's father opened the back door of the house. Go home, you stupid cat, he yelled. High on the dragon's back, Matthew held his breath, but his father saw nothing. The dragon was so big now that he filled as much of the sky as a tall maple tree that grew out of the lawn. The back door closed. The dragon swung the yowling cat over to a big barrel that collected rainwater from the greenhouse roof. He dropped the cat in. With a splash, Matthew cheered. Hold on, the dragon said, and he flew. Higher and higher he flew in the night sky, curving round and around in a long rising spiral. His green wings spread huge and silent. The stars grew brighter as he rose closer to them. Far below, the lights of Matthew's town were spread like bright necklace, glittering, and as he flew, the dragon sang. He sang a long, wordless music like the singing of a wind, like the singing of the sea. Matthew clung to his gold-scaled neck, and he listened in delight. And gradually he began to hear other voices, faint, growing, joining in. He peered out at the moon-washed sky and saw stars that were not stars, moving lights that grew larger and swooped closer. He saw them that they were dragons. From every point of the sky, the dragons came flying, turning, banking, sweeping over and under Matthew's dragon as if it greeted him. All the time, their voices rose and fell in unison, mysterious, beautiful, filling the sky with dragon song. And not one of them looked at the same as any other. There were all colors and shapes and sizes. There were red dragons or green, silver or gold or steely gray. There were dragons with spiny iron claws or dragons feathers soft as rainbows. For these, Matthew realized, were all the dragons ever put into the world of story. Every dragon ever imagined was here, swirling round the sky. Every dragon that ever was. Matthew lay with his arms around his own dragon's neck and laughed aloud. They were all different, and he recognized them all. The horizon tilted as his dragon banked left and then right, and like great gleaming birds, all of the other dragons swooped around him within a shifting cloud. Then their music began to fade, and they fell into line so that they were flying into the long, wonderful, allowed head shape in which was wild geese fly, or wild ducks or swans. The long V of the arrowhead filled the whole sky, and Matthew and his dragon flew at the tip, leading all the rest. Matthew's dragon lifted his golden crested head and called out with the same long dragon, called that Matthew had heard before, the long rusty hoot like the sound of a distant train. One by one, the other dragons hooted in return, calling in farewell, and one by one they banked away and disappeared into the wide sky. The dragon looked over his shoulder at Matthew. Now, I think I might go to sleep, he said. How about you? Matthew saw the glimmering curve of the drawbridge coming closer as they dropped through the night. Suddenly, he gave a huge yawn. Well, maybe, he said. As they came to the shining bridge that led to Matthew's bedroom, all at once they were the right size to walk across it and it through the open window. From the windsill, Matthew glanced down at the house next door, and on the doorstep he saw a very wet and sulky cat licking itself. He grinned. Thank you, dragon, he said. They were very good tomatoes, the dragon said. So Matthew climbed into bed, and Matthew's dragon climbed back inside the book and curved himself up into the picture he had come from. Night, dragon, said Matthew. Good night, Matthew, said the dragon. See you tomorrow. And Matthew closed the book very gently, and they both went to sleep. The end. So what you think of Matthew's Dragon? That was crazy. I was really surprised if you liked this. It was a good book. I really think I appreciate it. Let me know if you guys like reading books. I have a playlist. If you want to watch all the reading books, you can check it out on my channel for all the reading playlists in this channel. So thank you for watching Matthew's Dragon. This is a fun book. Let me know if you like this one. Give me this video a like if you like the video. This is Matthew here signing off, and we'll see you guys in our next video. Bye!